So there's this little scene in Matthew in the Bible that's been sitting in plain sight for 2,000 years, like this live wire underneath the floorboards of civilization itself. And I don't think we've understood how dangerous it is. Everybody knows the surface of this story. The storm is on the Sea of Galilee. The disciples are in the boat, getting knocked about by wind and water. And they probably smell like wet wool and panic. And then Jesus comes, walking towards them on the sea. And then Peter, being Peter, does the one thing in the room that's either magnificent or insane, which is often the only doorway God seems to have unlocked. He asks to come out there too. Jesus says, "Come." Peter steps out. And for a moment, the impossible is no longer a miracle performed by the divine over there. It's being embodied by Peter. It is a path under a human foot. And then Peter notices the wind. Fear floods his body. And then he goes down. Jesus catches him. They get back into the boat, and the disciples begin to worship Jesus. That's the text. And that's the whole wound of human civilization. Peter did not merely witness the impossible, he participated in it. He actually walked on water. The tragedy is not that he sank. Of course he sank. Any honest man knows what happens when the animal body remembers that water can fill your lungs. The deeper scandal here is that the boat does not become a school afterward. Nobody seems to say, "Wait a damn minute. Peter made 3 steps." What if the point was not simply that Jesus is special, but that the divine was recruiting apprentices to do it too? That we could all be Super Saiyans and walk on water. That you can learn this power too. That, Jesus is a teacher showing everybody how special they are and how powerful that they are. Instead, the miracle collapses back into reverence, back into people getting on their knees, believing that they can't do this. And reverence, when it's not careful, becomes the velvet rope keeping responsibility on the other side of the Messiah. And that right there is the human bottleneck I'm talking about. We keep seeing the best of ourselves appear in one body in the other. And instead of learning the method ourselves, we build a shrine. We get on our knees. We start worshiping it. We call that humility. But sometimes it is cowardice with candles. Cowardice with candles all around it. We say, "I can never, ever be like that." And half the time, what we really mean is, please don't make me responsible for what I have now seen. See, the boat is not evil because it floats. Sometimes you need a boat. You need a reprieve. Sometimes the boat is the only sane place to catch your breath with your friends. to bind your wounds, to pass around the bread and stop everybody from drowning. The boat becomes evil when it hardens into a spectator box, into like those two old men up in the Muppets balcony, just, going on, bitching and moaning. When the boat becomes its spectator box, it turns grown souls into audience members of holiness. It trains people to admire courage instead of practicing it themselves. And this is why the chorus commonwealth matters.